Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Daily News on Breaking News on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. Today is the 26th of August 2021. And so, private schools are reportedly insisting on sticking to their own calendar, arguing that their pupils have been attending lessons online during the period public schools were closed. Earlier this year, government rejected a request by private schools to adhere to their own calendar and threatened to deregister those that defied the timetable it had set. The government school calendar has been inconsistent since the first COVID-19 case was recorded in March 2020, owing to the lockdown restrictions put in place to contain the spread of the pandemic. The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Primary and School Education recently invited the Association of Trust Schools to give oral evidence on their operations during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. This was after MPs had accused private schools of charging hefty fees, setting their own calendar, and demanding school fees in foreign currency, among other allegations. While representing the report on the investigation on the operations of private schools, Chairperson of the Education Committee, Priska Misiarambi Mushonga, said the association stated that its schools were bound by the Education Amendment Act. We raised the issue to say, how then do you come back and insist that you want your own separate kind of school calendar? Their argument was that because we were teaching and the kids from our trust schools were engaging in lessons, Misi Airambi Mushonga said. Therefore, we felt that they needed to take a break, and when the government insisted that we continue, you remember at that time when they were brought back before the other lockdown, we noted their criteria that effectively the trust schools were operating independently outside the government. From a legal point of view, as a trust, they constituted themselves that somebody is bound by the trust rules. The private schools defended the high fees, which they argued were commensurate with the service and the quality of education they offered. We raised the issue of online learning because it had been subject to the issues that had been raised here, that even in circumstances where children were not going to school doing online classes, we were not having lesser school fees because children were not physically going to school. Misi Airambi Mushonga said. We queried that it did not make sense to change online cost at the level of the same school fees structure, even in circumstances where the kids were actually not going to school. Their argument was the money that is being paid as school fees was going towards the teacher. The teacher is not necessarily on leave. They may not be doing face-to-face interaction, but they are still at work, and therefore we expect parents to pay their online school fees. The committee recommended that the primary and secondary education ministry supervises all schools in Zimbabwe regardless of status. The committee also asked the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission to investigate reports of human rights violations and unfair treatment of members of staff at private schools, racism and discrimination against black teachers, high foreign currency fees structures, and bullying of parents where they are not at liberty to discuss issues concerning their children. Misi Airambi Mushonga said it was clear that there were perceptions that there are racial issues to do with salaries. The argument that in trust schools the salaries for the black teachers are lower than those of their white counterparts. Shurigi North MP Rob Sonyati called on government to take action against schools that abuse public funds. And so guys, get it in the comment section. This is our daily news on breaking news on Prince Miller Entertainment TV. My private schools, they want their own calendar because they're saying we are far ahead, we are doing online classes. Of course, private school, I'll share my data, so they now want to separate themselves from the public schools calendar. They want their own calendar. But they also talk about racism. I still can believe in Zimbabwe there's still racism, like for real. Like a black teacher earning so much and the white teacher earning so much. And we've heard in the past racism in Zimbabwe. Just imagine, we are in 2021. So the Parliamentary Committee, they want the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission to investigate. And as for the calendar, I still think they need to stick to the current calendar. Yes, because panetsa pakuti mwana achibva ku government school akuenda ku private school anenge akatorasika because kana makalenda atosiyana zvinenge zvakuvhiringidza mwana maona. Saka it's one of those situations whereby there should be no special treatment for private schools and ngatingoite zvakafanana izvozvo because syllabus yangofanana whether kuenda ku private school kana ku government school, the syllabus is the same. So guys, tell in the comment section. This is daily news on breaking news on Prince Mila Entertainment TV. Remember to turn on the notification bell not to miss any of our new uploads. We upload each and every day. When it comes to Nyayama online lessons, I do agree with them. They are far ahead compared to the government schools, whereby most parents are government schools. Private schools, they can't afford data, and data, which means he or she cannot access homework or online classes and as government schools children, they are on disadvantage when it comes to online classes. That's why yesterday I was talking about Nyayama examinations. I still think the government needs to actually postpone those examinations because most kids wanakwanisa kuita online classes because of data. Data is too expensive in Zimbabwe, so the government needs to actually look into that. What's the way forward regarding to data? Because isusu varombo vatine vana hatikwanise kutenga data kutoti mwana aite 4 hours 5 hours every day ari painternet, hatina mari yacho. And saka panofana kuona kunzi what's the way forward regarding to data. But data yakagadziriswa iyoyo chete, then tochitaura nyaya manje ye-online classes, otherwise hapana. This is the daily news on breaking news on Prince Mila Entertainment TV. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and remember guys to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and also on our Facebook group, which is Prince Mila Entertainment TV. Leave a comment mundudzo kuti munozwana sei my trust schools, my private schools, saying what we want our own calendars. At the same time, there's some other issues again which are happening in my private schools when it comes to Zema salaries, Zema teachers, other teachers earning more than the other because of the color, racism and discrimination. And we're in 2021, but private schools so daily news on breaking news on Prince Mila Entertainment TV. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and remember guys to subscribe to the channel. And thank you very much for listening and watching daily news on breaking news on Prince Mila Entertainment TV. Bless you.